Silo Season 2's Episode 2 brings one significant change to the Hugh Howey books, potentially deleting a major story from Juliette's original arc. Despite being fairly loyal to its source material, Apple TV+'s Silo has not shied away from etching its own identity by introducing many original elements. For instance, Silo Season 1 completely changes its source's tone by unfolding as a mystery thriller instead of solely being driven by its sci-fi ideas. The first installment of the Apple TV+ sci-fi series also adds a few original characters to the mix while slightly changing the arcs of familiar ones. In its first 2 episodes itself, Silo Season 2 seems to be drifting further away from the original Hugh Howey Silo books. While the show still borrows many character and story beats from the source material, it has already introduced subtle narrative deviations that will potentially ripple into massive changes in future episodes. One of these deviations revolves around Juliette and Bernard's shared narrative and has a lot to do with the political landscape in Silo 18. Bernard trains Lucas to become his shadow in Hugh Howey's first Silo book. Lucas seems to have a different role in the source material. In Hugh Howey's first Silo book, Wool, Bernard seems to know little about Juliette's relationship with Lucas. Owing to this, soon after Juliette leaves Silo 18 and enters a neighboring vault, he confides in Lucas and trains him to become his successor. After becoming Bernard's shadow, Lucas pretends to be loyal to him. However, when Bernard is not around, Lucas secretly communicates with Juliette. He not only tells Juliette about the brewing rebellion in Silo 18 but also updates her about everything Bernard shares with him. Lucas' role as a traitor is a crucial story development in the original Hugh Howey Silo books because it helps Juliette formulate a well-thought-out plan to protect her people before it is too late. Silo Season 1 initially hinted at potential romantic developments between Juliette and Lucas but never took the narrative too far. The books, in contrast, suggest that Juliette and Lucas get romantically involved when Lucas betrays Bernard and contacts her through Silo 18. Lucas can never be Bernard's shadow in the show. He has already broken Bernard's trust. AVI Nash as Lucas Kyle smiling in Silo. Apple TV+'s Silo was seemingly heading in the same direction as the original books with its early story developments. It portrayed how, even though Lucas worked in the IT, he was gradually getting closer to Juliette. However, towards the end of Silo Season 1, things went in a different direction when Lucas refused to help Juliette access the hard drive she had acquired from George Wilkins. The show further drifted away from the source material when Bernard learned about Lucas' encounter with Juliette and punished him by sending him to the mines. Given how both Bernard and Juliette do not trust Lucas anymore, it seems unlikely the show will follow Wool's narrative. After sending Lucas to the mines, Bernard will likely never trust him enough to have him working in the IT again, let alone appoint him as his shadow. Even if Lucas manages to acquire sensitive information about Silo 18 that could help Juliette, it is hard to see why Juliette would want to communicate with him after he refused to help in Silo Season 1's ending arc. Sim's selection as the shadow would erase one Juliette story from the show. There is no room for Juliette and Lucas' romantic developments in the show. Bernard sets his eyes on Judge Meadows to be his shadow in Silo Season 2's Episode 2. However, to his dismay, Meadows seems to have other plans. She wishes to acquire the heat tape used on Juliette's suit and leave Silo 18. If she manages to get out, Bernard will have to appoint Sims as his shadow because he is the only other person in Silo 18 he can trust. Like Lucas from the original books, Sims might eventually betray Bernard and help Juliette since he is already starting to question the rigid system and ideas Bernard upholds. However, there is no room for romantic developments between Sims and Juliette in the show. Considering how Lucas has been completely out of the equation since Silo Season 1's ending, it also seems unlikely that Season 2 will push his romantic story with Juliette. Silo Season 2 might still head in the same direction as Hugh Howey's Wool, but it appears to be steering clear of a romantic subplot between Juliette and any of the male characters.